Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have another special guest on that I think is going to give you some very interesting perspectives about something that we all should be doing. Now, I came across Chris Weir's profile because he was posting great content with tips and advice on LinkedIn, which, as you know, I'm a huge fan of using LinkedIn as a resource. So I definitely want to jump into it and talk about the clever creative. So, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It is good to be here for sure.
Absolutely. Now, Chris, before we jump into the clever creative,
And I
tell us a
should
little bit
I
about.
should interrupt you there, by the way.
Okay.
Everyone makes this mistake, which is probably a bad branding choice on my part. But the name of the company is actually Cleaver Creative. My
Cleaver creative.
my dad was a butcher. My grandfather was a butcher. I got into filmmaking. I was like, I like the idea for Cleaver. Sounds like clever, but I've had like many people misread it. So I don't know if it's right.
Well, thank you for the clarification. Cleaver Creative.
Yep.
So, before you started Cleaver Creative, tell us a little bit about what was your background before that?
Sure. So I went to school for theater directing actually, and came out of school and wanted to make films, and I, wanted to be the next Quentin Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez or whatever. And so I made a feature length film. Actually, conveniently enough, I was working in the butcher shop at that time, and I wrote a feature length film and shot it in there because I was like, this is a great location for a movie, and that's really what got me into filmmaking. And so bought at the time a very expensive computer because there wasn't computers that could do editing in 2003. Very well, regular computers couldn't do it. And it really, got me a head start into digital filmmaking. And then from there started to get some work and started to do, smaller projects and work as an editor. And then I worked as a producer and then started my own company about 8 years ago. So it's kind of a journey from theater to film to video now to like online video stuff.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, what was that journey like? I mean, just kind of, matriculating through those different roles. I mean, was it a planned thing or was it just opportunity open up and you just took it?
I think it was more the latter. Yeah, it was like I knew I wanted to do filmmaking at some point. I didn't know if that was going to be my focus or if I was going to stay in theater and direct that way. But it was something that I became once I had the gear and I had the first film. That was basically like my filmmaking school was making that feature, and then I started making short films, just because I was like, well, I have the gear and I'm interested in this, and then I would talk to people and coming out of film school, and I'm like, oh, let's show each other our work, like let's see what you did, and they're like, well, you never really finished anything. Like you spent 4 years in film school and you never finished a movie, and I'm like, no, we just kind of like did a scene here and kind of worked on the sound there. I'm like, oh man. So I kind of realized I had as much experience, if not more, than some of these kids. And so I was like, well, I should apply for jobs. So that's, yeah, it was kind of like, I definitely say I'm probably by nature an opportunist in that realm. I was like, well, maybe I don't need to go to film school, just start applying for jobs. And that worked out.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, what was it about, you said, as you worked in those jobs? Was it any like initial thing that triggered you to say, you know what, I'm ready to go out on my own?
Um, it was probably, yeah, it was those kinds of moments. But also, I talked to a friend who was an editor, and I was talking to her about going to school. I was like, maybe I should go get a master's in filmmaking. And she's like, you should just go get an internship at the company that she worked for. I was like, oh, well, if you think I can do that, I'll give it a shot. And then, yeah, when I got that internship, it was like for a film and video, and they did like weddings and they did DJ and stuff like that. And I was an intern there, and I was like teaching other people there, like how to edit and how to use gear and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I guess I do know quite a bit. I should probably like do more with this. So I think it was, yeah, I think it was a combination of those things, like seeing the opportunity and then realizing like, oh, I've got more experience than I actually thought I did.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, one of the things that I find to be very interesting is when people make that, that move from I've been working in other people's organization, now I'm moving into mine. Were there any things about that transition that surprised you about, wow, this is what it means to actually run a business around my craft?
Yes, there has been probably countless surprises. Um, yes, I'm trying to think of where to begin though. I guess one of the initial surprises was don't don't discount luck. I think that as entrepreneurs, there's a lot of struggle, there's a lot of failure, there's a lot of testing things out, and they don't work, and you try something else and that doesn't work. I was lucky in that when I started to work for myself, I already built up a number of contacts that I had done some work with from other companies and that still knew me. And so then like they were coming to me because they knew I was out on my own. Um, and and when you have early success, it's easy to be positive and be like, oh, this is so easy. It's like clients are coming to me, work's rolling in, this is great. So never discount luck, no matter how good things are going. Always plan for the worst. Um, also like I think a lot of entrepreneurs, to your point, to your background of managing money, like have a bunch of money. Like try and set aside money so that when you have a bad month, you're not like, oh, I got to take this project or I got to take this order and make sacrifices because you just need the money. It's really,
Gotcha.
really nice to be able to not have to worry about um, being desperate for work or being desperate for projects and being able to make strategic decisions because you have enough money in the bank to be able to do that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Speaking of that, the project, so what are the types of projects that your company focuses on and the services you guys provide?
Sure. So really, the work that we've done up until really last year, the 90% of the work that we have done has been animations. Doing animations for sales presentations, for explainer videos for projects. And recently, I've been doing more marketing on LinkedIn. And that has kind of turned into its own segment of business where, working with probably smaller companies, but working directly with them, looking at the content that they are creating or that they want to be creating and sort of dovetailing our production services with that, which has been really interesting because uh, previous to now, if you wanted to do a video, you want to hire a film crew to come out and shoot something. It's going to cost you, $3,000 to $5,000 to get a video or two done. Now, because everyone has these phones that shoot amazing video, you can actually be creating videos internally at a company if you know what kind of content to create and how to get it seen and those types of things. So I'm really becoming interested in helping companies develop their own strategy and work with them based upon what works for them. Like you shoot, we edit, we help you shoot, and we edit, or like you do everything. I just tell you what I think, which is kind of fun.
Okay, nice. Now, was there any like trigger point that caused you to like, just say aha with LinkedIn, like, hey, LinkedIn's definitely a better strategy?
Yes, like we did a lot of our work came from word of mouth previous to this, and then we experimented with Google Ads quite a bit and a little bit with Instagram and Facebook. And then when I put up my first video on LinkedIn, it was like worlds apart from the reactions that we were getting. It's spending money, and this is a video we threw up for free. It was just incredible, the response, because people like saw it, the views were there, the engagement was there, people were responding, people were going, oh, this is cool, this is interesting, I'm really glad you made this. So it was really apparent that I was like, okay, we need to like triple our efforts here and put out regular content on LinkedIn. And that has really compounded over this year. So now it's really like um, almost, I don't want to say we have too many leads to follow up with, but it's getting to that point where we're busy again. People are spending money again. And the leads keep coming in through LinkedIn. So I'm really kind of, like I said, a sworn advocate of it. Like it is the way to go as far as right now.
Awesome. Now, can you tell us a little bit about the type of content that you do post on LinkedIn? And I saw that you post something great today, which I did reply to that.
Oh, sweet.
Um,
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, like what I try and do and what I recommend people do is put out one video a week. And try and make it as good as you can. Try and make one great video a week. That recipe keeps your audience interested. You stay relevant. You're seen regularly. And it also kind of forces you into, I think, a routine. The problem that I think that people run into when they try and schedule less than that is they go, okay, well, I'm going to do a video, but then I want the next video to be great. So I'm going to wait 4 weeks, and then a project comes in or a client gets busy. And then all of a sudden, like 6 months have gone by and they haven't done their second video. So I really, really recommend aiming for at least one a week. And honestly, I think doing more than that is biting off more than people can chew. But that's my recipe. That's worked for me. Sometimes I'll put out a little post otherwise, just like something fun or like a collaboration thing. But one video a week is a good recipe, I think.
Gotcha. Now, where can people find you online, and where can they find you on social media to follow you and to do business with you?
Sure. Like probably one of the easiest ways to get in touch would just be on LinkedIn, just searching my name, Chris Weiher. My last name is spelled kind of strange, but it's three pronouns: we, I, her. Um, and then if they want to check out our animation work, it's cleavercreates.com, and that has a bunch of animation videos people can take a look at.
And for those that are listening and watching, it is Cleaver Create.
Yes, Cleaver.
Awesome. Well, before we wrap up, one question I like to ask everybody that comes on to the show is, when you think about, your expertise and your specialty, what are two pieces of advice that you would share with other entrepreneurs and business owners?
One would be make videos. Like, I don't care what your business is, but start making your own videos. Now, notice I said make videos, don't necessarily post videos, but record them. If you have an idea for a video talking about your business, talking about something you're passionate about, record it and then look at it like several days later. And if you feel like it's good-ish, post it. If you're like really mortified by it, don't post it. But I'm really encouraging people to start making their own videos, start talking about what they do for their business, because I think a lot of business owners have a huge knowledge base, have great background, but they don't know how to make a social post. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know how to use graphic design software. Maybe they don't have a graphic designer on their staff because they don't need one. Maybe writing is, challenging oftentimes, I think, for entrepreneurs. It's challenging for me, but they're good at talking. And so creating videos of you talking about your ideas, talking about ideas in the industry, what works for you, client success stories, all that stuff is really valuable for us. So I would say make videos. And then the other thing is just, like, once you do start creating content, be consistent. Don't be that person who's like, I'm going to do it every week and then do it once a year. Just be consistent. Try it for 6 months and see what the results are.
Gotcha. Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your story, your wisdom, and then we'll also include some links so people can follow you and they can find your business, to do business with you, and see the posts that you post on LinkedIn. Definitely great content, and not only just see it, but if you're listening and watching, engage, leave a comment. Give Chris some feedback on the content. It's some great stuff that you can learn from.
Thanks so much. This was awesome. I really appreciate being on the show.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.